The Rigs and Radio Podcast. Welcome back to another episode. This is a video podcast I started in late 2023 to talk about overlanding rigs and what radios people have and use on their overland trips or just in their rig, camping, even RVing, out in the woods, boondocking, outdoors, everything. So follow along for more information, and thank you for joining. Another episode of the Rigs and Radio Podcast. My name's Jason. I'm here with Patrick today from Darkside Overland. This is episode 4, so I'm still trying to kind of find my way through these episodes and see what we see how we're going to structure future episodes. But I've really enjoyed these interviews. Patrick, you're the third person I've interviewed. So when and a few years ago when we all look back and see how big and famous I've become, which will never happen. But if it does happen, you'll get to look back at this. So how are you doing today, man? How's it going out there?
Well, it's great to be number 3. So things are great. Yeah, like Jason said, Patrick Dark. I have Darkside Overland. You can find it on YouTube and Instagram. What it really started as is a vehicle for my kid to sell things he was making, like T-shirts and so on, around that type of off-road overlanding type marketplace of T-shirts, some 3D printed stuff, some replacement parts that you can't find and that are out there for certain products. And it really just turned into that for him. And it helps him do some digital marketing, for someone who's 15 years old and wants to learn IT. It was something from the cut his teeth on. So that's really where it started for me, just with the online stuff. But as far as being outside and off road and outdoors and camping and traveling, I started with motorcycles back in the 80s. I rode across the country 4 times. First time on a Japanese sport bike, and the bug started then a long time ago for me. And my bad back said no more bikes.
Oh,
so nice big cushy Tundra with a 4-wheel camper and. Got some nice comms in there, as well as Starlink and everything else, because the family does need to work from time to time, sometimes me, and it makes it easy so we can travel and have communications no matter where we are.
So you have Starlink on your truck?
I do. I have the high performance one, so in motion.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Do I have a picture of that today?
No, you don't.
Okay,
but you can probably find it on Instagram.
Okay. All right, I will. I might go search that out here in a little bit. But so I have the Starlink RV package, and it says that, and it's portable, so you take it XYZ, and it tells you when you get it that you can. It may work better in some places than others, and that's true. That's been my experience. But I've seen guys. I've driven down the road, and especially when I get to an RV camp or something, I've seen guys who have that mounted to their RV. To like their motor coach. And I'm like, okay, so are you using that when you're driving down the road? Because
mine's the different one. Mine's the bigger square dish.
Okay. Mine's the rectangular dish.
Yeah, mine's square and it's permanently mounted and is meant to be used in motion. It costs a lot more for the hardware. The service is the same, but the hardware they get you pretty hard for. But I can turn it on by just turning on my inverter via Bluetooth, and all of a sudden there's internet, and we're still moving. Toyota sells it through my truck, but that's kind of janky, being 5G and never going to work.
Right.
Where I've never had an issue with Starlink in motion ever.
And presumably it works when you're sitting still as well.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah. So it gets better when you're sitting still.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up. I was not aware that they had done one that was an in motion option. So, I've got. I've been really happy with the one that the RV package that I've been using. So, I'll have to go look that up later. But okay, all right, good. So, all right. So Darkside over. So one thing I want to ask you, and I think I asked Wes this as well because I interviewed him two episodes ago, and Wes from Three Alarm Overland. You guys,
yes, I do. Old friends. Yep.
That's where that's actually, little side note. That's where I first met you and Wes the first time, was at Overland Expo east in Virginia, and it was 2 years ago in 2021.
Yep.
And I missed it the last 2 years. I was really wanting to go this year, but I didn't get to go again. And so I'm fingers crossed. I'm going to try to make a big Virginia trip next October. We'll talk more about that as the time gets closer. But you guys were out there, and I immediately knew that you were my type of people because you had your ham radio license at the time, and Wes had a cigar and whiskey bar, and I'm like, I'm just going to hang with these guys all weekend. So,
Yeah, that's how it started.
yeah,
Expo's kind of clamped down on us with the rules because they got a new
yeah,
venue. But yeah, and Ham's. I mean, sorry. So Wes has got his ham ticket since then,
right,
and others in our group are getting them. Most of them are focused on GMRS,
yeah,
mainly just because it's easier for them.
sure,
But we see the new CB in the world is GMRS. It's everywhere. Everybody has it in their truck.
right,
Everybody's using it.
hmm
Etiquette varies, but it's not ham radio, and they're not
hmm
trained like hams,
right,
so it gets a little different. But
yeah,
we try and help along without being like some people, um, and make it easier for people just to come along and learn a little. Because we do get asked a lot of questions because they look inside like the dash in my truck and they go,
hmm
"Whoa."
hmm
I did send you one of those photos where
yes.
you can see there's a lot of stuff going on. And they're like, "What are you trying to do here?" I'm like, "Not get lost."
You're
Um,
not get lost, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
there you
there it
go.
is there it is right there, so, the big screen in the middle, is that's stock with the Tundra, is it not?
No, that's added. So I added that in, and
The
what
one
that
on
is,
the
that's an
the one
yep,
on the bottom?
yep, that's an
Oh,
Android.
okay. Okay,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
okay, so is it interfaced into your car stereo?
It is. It's my
Okay,
car stereo. It's everything Apple CarPlay, everything Android Play. It'll slave itself to the ICOM, which is in the upper right there, to
yes,
be the speakers out.
mhm,
It'll slave out to the upper screen, which is a Garmin Tread
okay,
10 XL. So that does all kinds of in-reach, and you got the high gain antennas on that as well. So it makes things a lot more accurate and
okay,
faster. And the other radio in there is just a Midland MXT 575 for GMRS. You don't know this, but I was in a Mars X operator for a year.
mhm,
But the time commitment was really heavy.
ah,
So I did have my X designation for a while, but I didn't Mars mod the ICOM.
mm, okay, okay, so the ICOM's the only true ham radio you have in this picture, at least?
Yeah, in this
Okay,
vehicle, but
okay,
at home, I have 7100 ICOM. I focused on ICOM mainly because once you're in one radio's ecosystem, the
mhm,
menus and programming get a lot easier. You're familiar with that,
oh, yeah,
and with ICOM, it's super easy. Once you have one, profile of repeaters you want to hit
mhm,
by geography, it's just easy to copy and paste that over. That's
yeah.
why I just focused on ICOM. That's the pure reason. I brand wise, I have no preference.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. I kind of have a different viewpoint on it. I like, I like the ooh shiny of the thing. So I have the Yaesu because the Yaesu I mean, no one else does APRS like Yaesu. In fact, ICOM doesn't do APRS at all.
At all,
So
yeah.
so I have the biggest and baddest and latest and greatest Yaesu FTM 500 at this time it is. And honestly, I pretty much only use that for APRS. Now I do a little bit of system fusion on it because I carry around a hotspot with me in the car. But that's my APRS beacon when I'm on road trips. But I have that ID 5100, same one you have right there. That's my main VHF UHF radio. And then I have a Kenwood as an HF radio, and then I have a GMRS radio as well. But mine's the Waxon KG1000G Plus, and you were talking about GMRS, and the purpose of this video series that we're talking on right now is just what radios are in your overlanding rigs, and I'm going to focus a lot on GMRS because a lot of people use it, and I've been really pleasantly surprised by the number of people on GMRS just when you're driving down the road on a road trip. Like you hit the road, you're like, okay, I'm going 4 hours down here, and then we're going to turn, we're going to go this way. Um, just scanning through the 16 GMRS channels, I hear a lot of activity, and a lot of them are a lot of truck drivers have made the switch from CB to GMRS too. But there's a lot of activity on GMRS. But once I get destinated at like an Overland show, and I've talked about this on my other channel, there's no activity at all. Nobody's talking on it. Once you get there, you turn the radio off and you go have fun with your friends. Where hams, we're like, hey, let's walk around the show and talk on our radios to people that we see face to face. I don't know which one's good or bad. I'm just saying that's the way it is, So,
Well,
but
with my setup, it's a little different because I do have a Redivus repeater I bring with me to set up on the truck when
okay,
we're at events.
okay,
And then we just walk around with handhelds and bounce off the repeater just to
gotcha.
get some extra reach.
Hmm.
And I publicize it when I go to events. Like, look, public use repeater on this frequency, this tone. You set yourself up. So, and
Good.
some people do,
Hmm.
and others don't, because with the GMRS ticket, it makes it easy to do.
Right.
And I do see more and more people that I know getting repeaters for GMRS just to do events like that, to pick it up and make it more functional for not only their friends but other folks around them.
Yes, I have that repeater, that little portable Redivus
Yeah.
repeater.
Mhm.
I haven't really done it. I picked it up. I think I picked it up like a year ago on a Black Friday sale or something. I don't remember exactly where I got it. I bought it because it was a low price at the time, and I thought, oh, I'll use this, and I never have used it. But Wes was telling me that you ran that at shows, and I'm like, that's a freaking
Yep.
great idea. So I think
I
I'm going
do.
to set up and do the same thing. So, no, that's a really good idea. Okay,
I
okay.
put it in a Pelican case with
Hmm.
the antenna, and everything breaks down. All I have to do is grab the Pelican case, runs off 12 volt, super easy.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you socialize it, just do a post or two, people jump on.
Mhm. Did you drill ports in the Pelican case where you can run antennas outside of it, or you just
No,
open
no.
it up and set it up afterwards?
I'm terrible at finding things, so I just have things to keep places. So I'm like, okay, that's the repeater. Grab it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
everything's in there.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
that's probably how I do it too, actually. So,
yeah,
okay, good. All right. Well, let's go move on to let's see. That's not all right. So here's a good picture. Okay. Yeah. So here's a good picture of the front of your truck. And I thought this was a Tacoma, but you said it's a Tundra.
it is.
Okay. All right. So I am not as familiar with the Toyota line. I guess I need to become so. But you've got a pretty cool solar panel there on the top. Tell us about that. Do you use that?
I do. That's a Lensun solar panel
Mhm.
that is 90 watts. It just charges the house battery in the truck. So the main ignition battery. I do have another 800 watts of solar on top of my camper.
Mhm.
That does the camper battery, so it's for 400 amp hours of lithium ion.
Mhm.
But the front here, you're going to see two antennas. You'll see GMRS on the right in the
Mhm.
photo, and on the left is just a diamond dual bander. Uh,
Diamond. Okay.
yep, all running SMA cables back to where I keep my radios under the driver's seat.
Mhm.
Uh, all running off an S pod. So real easy, just turn on and off. Real easy to set up quickly.
Mhm.
I put them on the bumpers. I'd like to have something on the roof, but the truck's already 8.5 feet tall.
Right.
So I know I'm clipping trees and
Mhm.
branches, and especially in my driveway, I have some trees at the end. They're going to come off.
Mhm.
So I put them on the bumpers just because it's easier, and it also tells me how far I can park before I hit something.
Right. True. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like almost like a curb feeler on your bumper. But
There you go.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Okay.
But yep, but that a pretty simple setup, and
Mhm.
nothing exciting going on here.
Yeah. Well,
A
I
lot of
and
lot of
I've
lights.
yeah, yeah, a lot of lights. I've seen guys put their most guys aren't hams, but I've seen guys put a GMRS antenna here on the front bumper, and usually that second spot will be for like a Wii boost or something. I've seen that go up there as well. So yeah, this is cool to see a ham and GMRS next to each other. I've got mine on my roof rack on my front runner, but you're right. Yeah, it makes it awfully tall. So it's a good place to put it. I think it's kind of a common place to put it. A little bit zoomed out shot there. All right, so you've got the four-wheel camper slide in for the
I,
bed of the truck. Tell us about
I-
that a little bit.
so that's a 2020 Raven model. I got it just before COVID hit, and
Hmm.
everything became 9 months wait time. I waited 4 weeks, so it was great.
Yeah.
And proceeded to get it. Tore out all the electrics, put in all lithium ion, all Victron power controls,
Hmm.
and battle-born batteries. In the on the top, you can just see on the edge one of the 360-watt solar panels. They're actually
Yeah.
residential solar panels. I just adapted to the roof of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I draw a lot of power, produce a lot of power, store a lot of power, just because you don't. Because Starlink, number one, the high performance dish pulls 15 amps all
Really?
day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it's real heavy.
Yeah.
So I do keep it on and off judiciously.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because it's the high performance one. The lower ones are like 7 amps. So the one you
Right.
have is a 7 amp pull.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I am upgrading soon to more battery power. But more is better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what else you can see in here is the truck is has a lot of other investment in it, where put a supercharger on it, re-geared it to 529s, run 37s, put front and rear lockers in there with the 529. So it's got a lot of capability that I don't use, but
Mm.
it's there. Just in the event that let's say we're in in Utah somewhere and there's something a
Mhm.
little sketchy, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Whereas mostly I do a lot of beach stuff. I do a lot of North Carolina mountains trips, in Virginia. Do a lot of trips there.
Mm-hmm.
But also starting to this winter, going to be hitting Florida a lot for fishing, because you can see the poles in this setup. My son and I do a lot of fishing,
Mm.
so
Okay.
we're on the surf a lot, and that's what this truck was really set up for. Is that there's actually a front hitch mount that will hold a rod and cooler rack, and we can take 8 rods with us and a nice cooler and hit the
Nice.
surf anytime we want.
Good.
So that's really the purpose of the truck, is to supply our fishing habit, and get us to places easier, and have a place to stay in case we want to stay longer.
Yeah. Good. Do you find that, well, okay, so you do a lot of trails as well though, correct?
I do, but they're mostly fire roads. So if you think of any of the
Okay.
back road discovery routes that you can see out there, there's a
Yeah.
great map series from Lizard Maps. There's a bunch of others from the back road discovery route. On the internet, you'll find all the GPX routes for them.
Mhm.
Do a lot of those, because they're great. They take you places that are out of the way.
Mhm.
They're easy to do, um, and they're well documented. So if you
Good.
want to go try something easy, as well as test your comms, getting out on a BDR route is nice.
Yes.
It stretches you a little bit if you're just doing the commute in your daily driver. This truck is not my daily driver anymore. It used to be, but it'll get before I supercharged, it was 8 miles to the gallon. So it's not going to be driving that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I probably wanna grab something else for that, I think. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, good. That's, yeah, yeah, my wife and I, we have a beach, it's an investment property. It's not a second home for us, but, we have a beach house down in Galveston, Galveston, Texas, and there's a couple of places down there where you can drive on the beach, and every now and then I see somebody with a setup similar to yours that's down there that's, like, doing fishing or, just, like, beach camping or something like that, and I'm like, "You know what? I think I would like to do that one day." I've never done beach camping in the truck before, but that's on my list of things to do, so just the soothing sound of the ocean going to sleep to that at night sounds intriguing to me.
We go a lot. We go about 15 to 20 times a year to different beaches. This picture here is in Fort Fisher, North Carolina, which is an old
Okay.
Army base that got converted to a state park. And you can buy your pass for the year, and they give you a little RFID card, and you
Yeah.
can come and go
Yeah.
as you wish, all
But
year.
if it's a state park, it's a POTA spot, man. You need to start bringing HF with you.
Well, I have
Uh,
that antenna set up, so
yeah.
it's not that bad. This is Virginia State Park. This
Okay.
is James River, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that go on in James River. Um, just before myself, Wes, and a couple other friends were meeting for an event there. Their rooftop tent rally they run every fall at James River. It's wonderful.
Oh, yeah,
Some of the
the Blue Ridge Overland?
Yep, the Blue Ridge
Yeah.
Overland guys
Yeah.
run that, and
Yeah.
it's a great event,
Yeah.
really fun. I do bring the repeater there, and but the park manager is longtime ham and has a GMRS repeater already set up. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, John Fury. He runs
Okay.
the James River Park, and like I said, long time ham.
Yeah. Excellent. That's great. Okay. I have to put I know I haven't activated that park, but, I have heard some good things about it, but, I have to put that one on my list. All you guys on the East Coast are gonna make me drive out there, I think, but yeah, but that's alright, man. I wanna get I wanna do some more trips next year. I'm gonna try to make 2024 the year of the Overlands for me, so I'm looking forward to a couple things already. This is neat here. This is a good shot from the back. Okay, so what kind of awning is that you've got coming off the back there?
So what you'll see, there's actually three of these.
Okay.
So they're Alucab
Yeah.
shadow ones. They're 270 degrees, and you can see my buddy Chad has his Ford F350 next to me. And what
Mhm.
we do is we set up our awnings to cover an area where we put ground mats down. And
Mm,
to the left, you'll catch the corner of one more.
mhm.
That's just another awning that we'll connect later. And what we do is we have Velcro connectors that connect them all together in case it rains and makes a gutter.
Nice. Okay.
And we're dry and we're out of the wind because we have walls that attached to these. But at the
Mhm,
same time, it gives nice little, I would call it like a little compound esque
mhm,
feel to it. And we cook in the middle of them, stay dry, stay out of the sun. This is at Expo, so the last Expo that was just in Virginia,
mm,
and this is where we set up.
mhm.
And we bring e-bikes there just to get around and
Sure.
and make it easier and tour everybody else's stuff, because the great idea of it we get on all these trucks, everything you see on mine is copied from someone else. I don't have an original thought in it. I see somebody
Okay.
else they put 80/20 on the sides of the four-wheel camper. That's a great idea. I'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, there's a picture of the Starlink in the top right.
I see that. I was gonna ask
Yeah.
if that was it. Okay.
That's
Mm,
it. It lives
okay.
there full time. It's permanently mounted to the aluminum tracking that goes into the top of the four-wheel camper,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's bolted in, sealed, and just runs through a side port, and I
Mhm.
can turn it on with Bluetooth anytime. So it makes it really easy.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Okay. That's good to know. I okay, so you mentioned this a minute ago about, Expo East in Virginia, because you guys were actually at a vendor spot, 2 years ago when I was there, and I'd heard they changed all that and they went way up on their prices or something like that?
Well, it's different ownership of Expo, and what
Okay.
they're trying to do is they're trying to grow the vertical around having more and different people.
Okay.
So we didn't join because of pricing, or get a booth because of pricing.
Mhm.
They actually have gotten it a little lower for community-based attendees like us that would have a booth. So if you're a community, like your ham radio community, or an off-road enthusiast group, they've
Mhm.
lowered the price.
Okay.
But what they've done is they've made a lot of activities that normally weren't frowned upon, such as after hours happy hour bar, or
Mm.
things like that. They've locked that down. So you have to get a $4,000 permit to do that,
Oh, wow.
which is
Okay.
four times the cost of the booth.
Right.
And then no, this year was no glass. So it's kind of
Okay.
hard to have a happy hour with no glass. I
That is
mean,
true. That is
so
true. Okay.
it's incrementally getting tighter,
Mhm.
and so we got a general camping spot,
Mhm.
and there's none of the same rules except for no glass. So we
Mm.
just focus on keeping our glass safe inside and
Yeah.
behaved. But we just noticed that things are being whittled away at to keep it more corporate and keep their focus on their vendors and how they want to you know
Mhm.
be profitable,
Mhm.
which is fine. It's just for what we want to do, it's just not conducive. So to that end, we've actually started doing events that are not around any type of expo or rooftop. And what we're doing is we're just doing events on our own, 10
Mhm.
to 12 group people in a group,
Mhm.
going to, like next one is New Year's Eve, Francis Marion National Forest down in South Carolina. We're going to do a New Year's Eve event there.
Okay.
And then in April, we're going to do Portsmouth Island off the coast of North Carolina, which is a deserted island
Mhm.
with a ghost town on it that you can get out there. And you can see the Milky Way, like pure dark skies location. And it's super easy and it's free. You just got to pay for the permits like you would for any off road permit that you get for the national parks.
Nice. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. Well, this is where the one time I was at Expo, this is where we stayed, was in this back camping area, and there's people out there partying all night.
Hmm.
Not loudly, not being obnoxious or anything, but
Oh no, the
there's
group's
definitely
very
yeah,
respectful of
right.
everybody else going on, and old guys like me want to go to sleep at 9 o'clock, which is fine. But at the same
Yeah.
time, there's people having a good time. But
Sure.
the community, isn't built around being 10 feet away from each other.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
you
True.
know,
Yeah.
they're built to be okay. I'm out on my own, and I'm used to
Mhm.
being on my own.
Mhm.
So the expo kind of gets confused by trying to jam as many people in and not
Mhm.
and losing the spirit of why people are there.
Right.
So
Right.
there's kind of that core disconnect, but
Yeah.
we try and space it out so at least we have a little space.
Sure. Yep. Good. All right. Well, my hope is to drive to the expo next year, so that's where I'll be camping back here somewhere. So, uh,
Let us know, because what we do is we do James River the night before, because we're all from like Wes is Indiana,
yeah,
Chad is Delaware. I'm close. I'm 3 hours away,
yeah,
but we all go to James River the night before, so we can all roll in together and then be
park
parked next
together.
to each other. Yep. And
That
then
makes sense.
we just either circle the wagons or create a space like this, and it just makes it easier.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think Wes had mentioned that, so yeah, I've got that on my tentative calendar. So that'd be fun. It'd be a fun trip, I think. You said April. Do you have any plans to go to the Moore Expo?
More for me is tough because of the
Okay.
time of year.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you never know what the weather's going to be like.
That is absolutely true. Yes, yes. See, that's only 6 hours for me, which living in Texas, 6 hours is not much of a drive.
No.
But that's I mean, because Virginia is probably 13 hours or something like that. And then it was about 10 hours to go to Mountain West in Colorado last year. So 6 hours is not that big of a deal. And there's a pretty good ham radio presence in Moore. And so we're going to try to make a big effort. Several hams and I have gotten together. I was there with two other guys last year, and then several hams and I've gotten together, and then the three of us said, "Hey, let's get some more people." So we've got like a good group of people that are going to go this year. So I'm looking forward to it. Should be a really fun event. But
I've always wanted to go to more,
mhm.
but then I toss it up and I'm like, I also want to go to Dayton. So it's
Yeah,
one or the other
did
for
you go
me.
to did you go to Dayton last year?
I missed Dayton by a day. I was there for
Okay.
work, and
Oh gosh.
yeah, I missed it, and I had to fly out. I missed it
Yeah.
by a day.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Wes was at Dayton last year, and because he texted me like a year ago, he's like, "Dude, I just got my ham license." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "That's awesome, man." So he and I kind of keep in contact, and that's why I reached out to him when I was starting to do this because I was like, "Well, you're a new ham, so let's come talk about it." And he thinks there's this big awakening happening in the Overland community with ham radio right now, and I kind of sort of see it because the More Expo has been very like I met like the first time I went to the More Expo 2 years ago. I guess that was 2022 because I went this year for the second time. And like I got on 6.52 FM
Mhm.
VHF FM simplex for those of you who may not know, 146.52 megahertz. And because this series is not going to be targeted specifically towards hams, but I got on 6.52 and I met two guys there that I still talk to today that were hams. One of them's name's Carlos and the other guy's name is Patrick, not you, Patrick, obviously, but and I still talk to them today, and I'm like, and not every day. We text back and forth once a month or something like that. And Carlos came to Orlando Hamcation with us um, earlier this year, and we just kind of got to be good friends. And these are people I met at Overland shows that just happened to have 6.52 monitoring on their radio. So that's kind of that's kind of
I
we
I
call it.
think
Go ahead.
I think the coincidence of overlanding getting in the ham. I think is also tied to GMRS, because
Yes.
people start with a cheap GMRS, either handset or
Hmm.
mobile, and then they go, maybe there's more, and then they
Hmm.
find ham, and they go, oh wait a minute,
Hmm.
and then they unlock what ham can bring to their comms and go, wow. So I see a lot of that. I
Hmm.
don't see a lot of hams going GMRS direction, but I do see the inverse.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
because what people will do is like, okay, I want to go farther. I want to have more power. I want to
Right.
have more options. I want to learn more. A lot of it's the
Right.
learning aspect is like these people who are always hungry to learn more.
Mhm.
And what started it for me, anecdotally, is just that 10 years ago I moved down to North Carolina from the Northeast, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to be out in some of these deserted islands. There's no cell services, no nothing. There's no Starlink at the time. I better
Mhm.
get a ham license, and I did. And I just got, I went in and got my tech ticket, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I can hit 5 repeaters from this island, and I'm
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
Somebody will help me.
Mhm.
So without going to full in-reach capability and all that, I'm like, there's always a ham listening, and there is.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's good. I've taught there's a couple of pretty active GMRS repeaters in the Dallas area, and, I haven't been on there in a couple months, but the last time I was on there, I was talking to a couple guys, and they were they were all hams. They're
yeah,
like I'm like, "Why are you guys talking over here?" And he goes, "Oh, we're just kinda talking, we kinda talk everywhere," and so I'm like, "Okay, that's cool," but, I thought that was kind of fun, but, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that, I think that once people figure out the differences and they see the value of ham radio and how you can do like HF
yep.
and even like digital modes and whatnot, then they get a little bit intrigued in it. So it's definitely it's definitely something that people are starting to notice. And I kind of like to be an ambassador for ham radio as much as I can because of my original YouTube channel. But also I am having you're talking about learning. I am having fun learning about the overland community and what all these terms mean and what all this equipment does. Seriously, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't really understand sometimes people will be talking about stuff and I'm like, okay, you guys are going to have to tell me exactly what you mean by what you just said. And I've learned a lot from these guys who are entwined into both worlds. So it's been a learning experience for me that I've really enjoyed for the last couple of years.
Well, I mean, it's a bottomless pit of money you can spend.
That's true.
Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
so when you see my Tundra here, it's the third iteration of a vehicle over 15 years. So it's
Hmm.
where I wanted to end up. My wife's really happy with it. She's like, "Don't mess with it. It's great."
Oh, okay. Okay.
So doesn't want anything else. Uh, I mean, but she's happy ground tenting. So I'm lucky that way.
See,
Uh,
and that's what I when I went to we went to the Rendezvous show last year, and I was camping with my buddy, Justin, and he had a rooftop tent. I think it was in I can't remember what kind it was. But we were camping, in a different area than the show was. So he had to tear down his tent every morning, drive the show, and they did a couple of trail runs, then he'd drive back and set up again at night. And I had my Gazelle tent set up the whole time. And he's like, "Man, I need to get a Gazelle tent because I'm just tired of tearing the tent down every night." And I'm like, "Man, yeah, I mean, I never had interest in a rooftop tent because it was it's
it's a burden.
it's a
Yeah, it's a
burden.
burden.
Yeah, they're expensive, which okay, they're expensive. That's not usually a reason that I will avoid something. If something has value, I don't mind spending money on it. But it's if it gets windy where you're at, then it's going to be rocking around the whole time. I usually travel with my dog, and I'm not getting my dog up a ladder, so I'm gonna have to carry her up the ladder into the rooftop tent. So,
That's fair.
it's just always all these different things. But those slide-in campers like that four-wheeler camper you got, those are really neat. I looked at
So
those really, really hard for a while, and I haven't got one, but we'll see, maybe someday.
my goal was 10 minutes to set up camp and break down camp.
Okay.
That was my goal.
Okay.
So in 10 minutes I can be fully set up, comfy, done, you know,
That's
and
it's a good goal.
enjoying sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
And if weather starts to get bad or it's time to go, it's 10 minutes to pack up and leave.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was, a lot of what you see bolted onto my truck is to fit that 10-minute
Mhm.
goal, is just to make it easy to put away, easy to maintain, easy to clean, and everything has its place and is in its place,
Yeah.
and it makes it real quick.
Good.
Yeah.
Where's this picture taken?
This is off the Blue Ridge Mountains, by, I would say, Peaks of Otter. It's a park
Okay.
that's off the Blue Ridge Mountains. This is one of the uh, it's a portion, I believe, of the back road discovery route. And if you want, I can send you the GPX file, because I did record it. Because
Okay.
that's what I do instead of APRS. I use the Garmin tracking system, which
Okay.
puts you online, and it's very similar to APRS, but you can right click it and to save it to GPX or convert it to a route or a waypoint. It's a little more flexible for me in how I use waypoints, but
Okay. Okay.
it's just one of their features when you
So
have one of their devices.
it feeds to the internet then, so that
Yep, it
like
does.
if your wife's at home, she can see where you are, that type of
It,
thing?
real time. Yep.
Okay. 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 Is that a paid I assume that's, being that it's Garmin, I assume that's a paid service.
It is. It's like $20 a year. I mean, it's nothing
Oh, that's
crazy.
yeah, okay, that's nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar. See, this is another thing. I'm not familiar with what you're talking about right now.
Okay.
So, you said GPX something earlier, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but,
So a GPX is a GPS file that's broken down into waypoints.
okay.
And it's
Okay.
this universal standard that you can say, okay, I went this way for, I made 20 turns, I went 100 miles, and this is the roads I took or routes I took. And it converts it to put it on either Garmin Maps or Google Earth or any
Mm,
other uh, off-road systems. Like Gaia is a big favorite. You
yes.
can import
Mhm,
Gaia
mhm,
GPX files into Gaia. So and because of that, you can say, oh, I was on this great trail the other day, and you can say, well, where was it? You just send a GPX file, and you can use
mm,
see where it's at. So you can save it to a library, and on Google Earth, you can save those as a library, and
mhm,
then pick and choose which ones you want to upload to your Garmin and say, okay, I want to do this route or go there again,
hmm.
and makes it real easy. Because
So
I
what
save all my trips that way. Everywhere I've ever been, I've saved every trip.
what's are we able to see your Garmin in this shot right here?
Yeah, it's the top screen. Uh,
Okay.
yep, that one right
Okay.
there.
That one right there. Okay, and which model is that?
That is the Tread XL. It's the 10-inch GPS that they sell. It has a MERS radio that you can add into it, but nobody uses municipal band anymore.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ham radio, a guy I know with another ham radio YouTube channel that did a video about that and had a built-in MERS radio in it. That's kinda neat.
Yeah,
I think this
it's
is a
neat,
small.
but nobody uses
Yeah.
MERS on the East Coast at all.
Oh, well.
Nobody.
I don't think people
Uh,
know about MERS. I don't think I mean, you go to Walmart and buy a radio, it's either gonna be an FRS or a GMRS radio. I mean, you can get MERS radios there, but they're fewer and farther between. I don't think people understand what it is. But
I think Garmin wanted to avoid any licensing issues or
yes.
any
Yeah,
trouble like that, so they went
yeah,
with MERS because it's
yeah.
pure open. But it's also in there is high gain antennas. So if you flip to the front end photo of my truck, you'll see uh, one of these, that one. So in the driver's side, you'll see a white antenna and a little puck antenna.
Yes.
The white antenna is a high gain GPS, so it acquires GPS signals really quickly.
Gotcha.
You'll get 10 satellites in about 10 seconds.
And
And
that's
the black one, the little puck on the paint there on the hood,
yeah.
that's a high gain inReach. So I got that so in
Oh.
case I wanted to get inReach to go through trees,
Now,
and that allows that.
can you do inReach through that Tread XL, or is that a separate
Yes,
device?
yeah, it's
Okay,
all built
okay.
in.
It's
Yeah,
all so you have one Garmin and it does everything.
does everything.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty slick. Okay. Good. Well, I'm gonna have to I guess GPX is something I'm gonna have to look up then. So, I know those Garmin I came close to buying I believe the video that I saw from the friend of mine who did the video about the one with the built-in MERS, they make one with a smaller screen, I think.
They do. They make an
Okay.
8-inch and a 6-inch.
Okay. I think
Those are
his
mainly for like side by sides and so on.
right. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, good. Well, cool. Man, this is see this type of information here is exactly what I like to hear about and talk about and see. I didn't even know I learned several things from you today. Not the least of which is that new Starlink system because I've only had my Starlink RV package for about a year. It was brand new when I got it. I got it because I'd signed up for Starlink for my Galveston house because the internet down there sucks. I thought I'll sign up, and they said, "Okay, you're on a waiting list because we don't have enough satellites up." Fine. And then like 6 months, 4 or 5 months later, something like that, I get this email from them saying we're just releasing our RV package. You go to starlink.com/RV, and there it is right there. So I took my deposit, applied it there, canceled the other thing, said yeah, and a week and a half I had the hardware, and I've used it. I don't know, a dozen times, something like that.
Mm.
I use it all the time during hunting season. It's set up right now at my hunting lease. and it works beautifully out there. Which we have no facility. It's totally boondocking off grid at the hunting leads. There's nothing out there. We're just camped in the woods, and it works very well. But it's a hunt. You said something about it drawing 7 amps earlier. I haven't even tested that because it's only 110 volt. It does not run on 12 volt. So does your portable one run on 12 volt?
No, runs on
Okay.
110, and I
Okay.
just run an inverter off
Yeah.
my
Okay.
battery panels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
You can get, there's a company called Boondocker IO, which will convert yours to 12 volt.
okay.
If you just go to their website, boondocker.io,
Okay.
you'll see they have, you got to cut your cables to make them RJ45, the typical Ethernet ends, but that'll convert your whole unit to 12 volt.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. We have a couple friends that are using those, and they're having good success. They're happy
Okay.
because they don't want to have an inverter. They just want to run 12 volt.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. All right, man. Hey, thank you for your time today, Patrick. Where can people
Pleasure.
find you if they want to follow you and follow your adventures? Where can they find you? I know we said this at the beginning, but we'll repeat ourselves. Go ahead.
Everything's off Instagram. So if you
Yeah.
go to, at Darkside Overland,
Mm-hmm.
there's you'll see everything from there. There's a link tree at the top in the profile. You'll see YouTube. You'll see, a bunch of different YouTubes. I've done a whole series on how the truck was built, both
Cool.
inside and outside. So you can see me welding together parts that, to hold my awnings on and
Mm-hmm.
do the wiring. And then last one was just putting in a new air system for airing up and down tires.
Ah. Okay. Okay. Good. Excellent. Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate this.
Thanks.
I will send you a link when this goes live, and I hope to see you at some shows next year.
Oh, I'm always around
All right.
and close to retiring, so you'll see me out there
Oh,
more.
wow. Yeah. Well, if you guys ever get far enough west to like Arkansas, Louisiana, especially into Texas, I mean, definitely hit me up there.
All right,
But I don't mind, I don't mind drive. I've camped in North Carolina and in Virginia before, so I don't mind that. So, but it does take some planning just because of the trip time, but it's
I
good.
get it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Sure.
man. Appreciate
Well,
it.
thanks, Jason.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks.